You are now 3 weeks into war with Russia. How was your life during these 3 weeks?
The first day, it was February 24th. We live in Kiev and we sleep as always in our flat. And in the morning, kids come to me and say there are shooting on the street. It's not was like a machine gun shooting. It was like bombing. And we sleep. It was I don't hear nothing. But since they say the war starts, we switch on TV and see from the news that the war starts. And we tried to leave the Kiev immediately in the morning, but we stopped in the very, very long Cork, and we spent an hour in the Cork near our house, and there were less than 1 kilometer for this hour, and we decided to stay in Kiev until the evening. And in the evening we leave Kiev finally, but we have a private house near Kiev, and we decided that it will be more safe maybe to stay there. But it was a mistake, because its direction, it's this northwest direction where Russian army came to Kiev through Belarus, and we were trapped there. In fact, several days it was we had electricity there, but after several days electricity stopped. And constant shooting with artillery, with flying helicopters, with flying planes, and so it's awful. We were sleeping in the basement of our house because of security reasons. And after electricity stopped, there were several days we have gas, but even gas stopped finally. So we have no resources for living, like electricity, like gas, like mobile communication was occasional. It was very low, very bad. We have no mobile internet, of course, but sometimes we can make a call to our parents and say that we are still alive. And we were trying to find a way how to left the place, because we saw by means of explosions, we saw where they have in place these explosions, and we can guess where Russian troops are and where Ukrainian army are. One of our neighbors, he was several times trying to communicate with Russians, and its tank staying near our petrol station. So we were trying to find out the way how we can leave the territory. And then negotiations started for trying to have these green corridors. And one day we were walking around the place we are living, and we saw a very long column of private automobiles, and they were leaving the territory. But we were late, and we saw just the final cars of this column, so we can't join this day. And we contacted volunteers, and they say maybe tomorrow will be the possibility. And the next day, we were lucky. We decided to leave. Volunteers say it's time, but there were no column. We were just 6 private cars without no one else. And the worst place was so-called Zhytomyrsky highway. It's a highway from Kiev to Zhytomyr, and this highway was occupied by Russians before, and we know about shooting from Russians on private cars there. We know about everything that was there, but we were lucky, and we crossed this Zhytomyrsky highway. There were no one there, so we were lucky. We can cross it, and immediately after this highway was Ukrainian bloc post, and later on was territory controlled by Ukrainian army.
How do you feel now? Do you feel a little bit safe? Do you have the possibility to plan for yourself and your family? Do you have the possibility to work? What about cash flow?
We have cash before. We prepared. We have some cash in cash, not on credit cards. We can take our here in Cherkasy Oblast. This is more or less central Ukraine. So we have, of course, we have alarms of air threat, of airstrike threat, and these alarms are several times a day. Yesterday was Sunday, so Sunday it's a vacation day maybe for Russian army, and yesterday was quite a bit not so tension day. But today night we already have one alert. But in comparison with the Vorzel and Bucha, where we live for more than at least 12 days, if I'm right, where constant explosion all around you, where helicopters are flying over your head, where fighters flying over your head and making turnaround up just above the trees. So when you can listen different types of artillery, when you can see signal rockets, and at the evening you can compare with just communication about threats which you can see through your Telegram channel. It's quite different situation, of course, but nobody can be safe in Ukraine now. It's clear.
Can you plan something? Is it possible to think about the next week, next month? Can you are you in touch with your members?
It's very difficult. We have, of course, we have close connection with our members. We make, while I was near Vorzel, Olga, she make questionnaires. She asked our members, and not only members, to respond some questions about how they are living, what they can plan, and we got 92 or 93 answers. Yesterday I analyzed everything, and I can say it's the it's the second biggest problem. The first biggest problem is cash flow, because advertising market stopped at all. All media have no income. All the media have no income, and a lot of media, more than 80% of media are still working on. Almost all of them are stopped printing because of printing factories stopped, and it's electricity problems and so on. But almost all of them are working online, on websites, on Facebook groups, on other social networks. They are trying to communicate with audiences. But the main issue is money to pay somehow just to buy food. So it's one of the biggest problems for everyone here. The second very big problem, which no one still saying, but for me it's clear, it's just you are asking how to plan the future. This is a very big issue, and I believe you can help us somehow, because media now in Ukraine, they are united. We have, let's say, common information flow for radio stations, for TV stations. Besides, when we have no electricity and we were forced to economy everything, even charge on your phone battery, we were listening to the radio. There is a just standard application in the smartphone, and you can listen to the radio via smartphone. It was the only information channel for us there, since there were no internet, no television, no electricity, but the radio was working on. So back into planning, we need to consider three different types of territories. First, where the active explosions are going on, and obviously there are no electricity there, and radio can work there, and maybe it's the only thing. While you have no internet, you have no social networks, but the radio, FM radio, it's working on. It's the first stage. The second stage, if you have electricity, you can have more wide communication channel number. As well, you can even print for older people, for example, you can print on just ordinary printer something and distribute manually for these people through, I don't know, through something, through kiosk if it works, through magazine if it works. And the third, it's that part of Ukraine where still everything is working on more or less usual way. But as we can see, the occupants are trying to destroy television stations, so to stop distribution of Ukrainian information, and to put propaganda instead, and to put information about they win the war, and so on, so on. So this is three different types of information distribution because of having access to electricity, and is it occupied territory or is it still Ukrainian territory? And back to the planning. Planning is the weakest part. Is after the money which needs to just buy food, of course. The weakest part is the planning, because first weeks a lot of people were waiting that we will win, or the war will be finished after several weeks. Now we can understand that it will not be finished for some time, and this time is maybe long. So planning is important, but no one was in this situation. No one have an understanding how to do correct, and which actions will be incorrect. And that's why it will be very, very important if people who can give their thoughts, who have experience in other countries where something like that was before, how to plan, how to do, how to prepare for the next weeks and next months. It's very, very important, not only for the media, but for the people, because all of people are listening to the media, and what we have through media now is mainly information about the war, about the bombing, about destruction, about everything like that. And nobody knows and thinking what to do tomorrow, you know. And we need to help people to think about tomorrow somehow, and to plan something and to do something.
Alexei, I come to another question now. Actually, I saw how well you worked. It was 10 years ago, I think, that we worked together on the World Newspaper Congress in Kiev. And
It was 2012, Joanna.
2012, so it's 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So, and I remember what a wonderful collaboration you had with the Russian colleagues, with the Russian Association, and they were your supporter number one from all of the others. And I'm sure you have communication with them.
No.
Not at all.
Since 2014, no. We run 5 years in a row where we run a congress for press distributors and press publishers together with them, and it was quite a good congress. But at the beginning of 2014, they say, Alexei, as you can understand, we can't communicate with you more because it's risky for us.
Okay. Well, this is terrible. I did not imagine that. So I thought you were still in contact with the colleagues in Russia. So no contact to Russian
No.
media. Let's go back to your situation. So I understood problem number one is, of course, cash flow. You have to live, you have to eat. Problem number two is distribution. And in distribution is radio a very, very important way, especially for the areas that are under bombardment. Then if you have electricity, you can print like old times style on a printer and distribute it manually in the shops or in the kiosk. And the third part is you really need to counteract the Russian propaganda, which is terrible, and the words they really spread to say that they are winning the war. Third point is planning. You need to understand how you can plan for the future, yeah, and for this experience from others who went through such a terrible time would be very, very valuable. So a little bit of a consulting there, yeah.
Right.
So these are the three big points that I took now from you. Now, I know that you are already working with media in the West to find ways to help you. If we are now to go really concretely to a plan, what to do, what would you like to tell the Western publishers? First of all, what would you need?
Again, starting from the questionnaire, so starting from the needs, direct needs of publishers and journalists, the first need is some amount of money for them to survive. First. Second, since local media, very local media, local, which are working for the people, after these 3-5 last years, they became very important, not only information source, but let's say service providers. I mean, by service, I mean communication service. They are doing a big job for to discuss local issues like very local problems, like garbage collection, like repairing networks, like reform of medicine, and a lot of issues which Ukraine is coming through through the period. This local media were the platform to discuss and to find solutions. So they cannot be neglected as they are very small, and we need to support big media like all Ukrainian media. It's different. It's very different, and trust level to local media is big. But they are the weakest chain, because there are 3 to 5 people for each media, because they have no support from no one now, from local power, from local business. They even before they don't have advertising budgets by means of national advertisers. They are rely on local advertisement, like just classified advertisement, you know, just
Yes.
congratulations through media and so on. This is absolutely stopped. So they lose all of the money for their living, and this is important. And since they are the weakest chain, since they don't have access to international sources, they often they don't speak English. Often they just speak Ukrainian or maybe Russian, but not speaking European languages like German, English, so they even can't have access to publications from abroad. They can't have a possibility to directly communicate with colleagues, a lot of them. So what we can do for them as associations, we can help them to establish such a connection, but not direct connection, but to provide valuable information for them, how to plan, how to estimate what will be, what can happen tomorrow, how to make new connection with local people, with farmers, because farmers need to start crop now, already now, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ahead, but they need to start agriculture work because it's obvious. And they also will need to understand where they will find everything. Will it be safe for the crop? It's a long period even between April and September. They need to invest money until crop can be collected, you know. So this is important, and if we can help them, all of them, not only journalists and media publishers and editors, but people all around Ukraine through media, this is very, very important impact.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's globally extremely important. So I understand. So through the media, you need to help the local population to continue their lives and try to save what is possible to save. Yeah. So the other thing is, what are your resources, Alexei? How many people can help you there?
Here, you mean in association?
Yes.
We have 3 staff workers, me, Olga, and Oksana, she's our accountant. But we association, we unite more than 50 publishing companies, and among them national publishers like Burda Ukraine, like Edipress, like others national publishers, and we have very small members like Obri Izumshchiny from Izum, which is hardly bombing these days, which is 50 kilometers from the Russia border. So and not so we quite big, and if we need to distribute something, if we need to, it depends on the task. What I need to say, it depends on the task.
So the most important thing, the network still works among you and your
Sure,
members.
definitely, yeah.
That's the most important.
Ukraine is very united now. While we were living in our street named Kvitkova, by like Flowers Street, near Vorzel, we were very, very united there, and we became friends with a lot of people who are living on the same street, and we just see them occasionally, you know, before the February 24th. And now we know everyone in a much bigger area. We know all phones. So as well in every kind of human living, in media, for example, we should definitely we keep close connection. I forgotten to say one more thing. I don't know how to solve it. I understand arguments which European leaders are saying, but the worst thing for us by means of war is Russian aviation. They are hardly bombing cities. It's awful, Joanna. It's absolutely awful. And they are bombing cities specially. It's a target. It's not a mistake. It's a target. They are bombing houses, schools, hospitals. It's a target for them. And somehow we need to stop it, because on the ground, Ukrainian army is quite strong, but we need somehow to close the sky.
This is terrible. This is really terrible. Alexei, it is wonderful that you are so united now in Ukraine. And I hope you noticed a little bit that Europe and the Western world is also backing you up in everything they can. And this is exactly what we will do now with our network. So we will spread the word about your needs, and I'm sure that many of them will be ready to help. So thank you so much. And I
One more illustration for unification. Yesterday we discussed with National Union of Journalists of Ukraine with Sergei Tomilenko joint efforts to ask Google and Facebook because we know about their efforts to finance journalism before. We will ask them to support somehow local media in Ukraine. And we will send letters today for them. And if you can also ask them for same kind of support, it also will be valuable. I will send you our letters for this.
Sure. Thank you so much, Alexei.